If you're going into matches without even the most basic of mods on your weapons and arc raiders, you are making a massive mistake. And in this video, I'm going to prove it to you. But before I do that, for those of you who want to ensure that I'm being accurate in what I'm showing you here, I will do a deep dive on how I did this entire setup at the end of the video. But for now, let's take a look at our first test using the Rattler. So this is a level 2 Rattler. I just leveled it up once so that it could have more rounds in the magazine. It doesn't influence anything else when you give it that initial level. On the left side here is the basic Rattler. It has absolutely no mods attached to it at all. Now we have two options for barrel attachments that level 1 with your basic workbench, and that is going to be the Compensator and the muzzle brake. And we're going to start off with the worst one that you can choose, which is the Compensator. And that is going to be over here on the right side of the screen. And sure enough, if you watch these, you can see the only thing that happens is that circle shrinks ever so slightly faster and doesn't expand quite as much. It's very meh. Now I'm going to show you something that is absolutely nuts and will affect your weapon way more than you expect it to. And that is just a simple level 1 muzzle brake. So in this comparison, on the left side, we have no mods. On the right side, we have only a muzzle brake. Now do note that that is the only attachment that is on the screen over here on the right. Now, what I want you to look at in this test and notice is the wall in the background and the difference in height in the wall in the background. Don't pay attention to the dummy. The reticle doesn't matter. It's not going to change. This doesn't do anything really for dispersion. This just helps with our overall recoil. And what you need to know is that whichever wall is lower is worse because your camera is raising up, which drives the wall down. I hope that makes sense and everybody is following it. And as you can see, there is a pretty big difference in recoil with just having the muzzle brake on the gun. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, obviously Firespark, it's doing what it says it does. It's reducing recoil. And sure, that's true, but it says by 15%. And I don't know about you, but when I think 15%, I don't think this much of a difference. And hold on to your butts because it gets even better. On the left side, once again, basic Rattler, no mods. On the right side this time, we have the muzzle brake and the vertical grip. All right, let's play the clip. Yeah, that's absolutely insane. Here's the difference at the absolute peak, and you can clearly see from this line here, the difference in the backgrounds and how separated these two back borders are and how much of a difference this makes in your overall control of the gun. This is a difference between emptying a clip entirely into someone's face or maybe just hitting their head with a single bullet. Now at this point, you're good to go. You don't really need to do anything else to it. Honestly, I would not do anything else to it, and let me explain why. Many of you are probably thinking, why not throw the stable stock on there? And you totally can, although I wouldn't recommend it because it actually makes things a little bit worse, which I'll show you here in a second. But the stable stock states that it gives a 20% reduction to recoil recovery time. This is how quickly you recover from the recoil, clearly. And it also states that it gives a 20% reduction in dispersion recovery time. From my understanding of what dispersion is, this is how much the reticle blooms out. So how big the bullets are being spread out in front of the gun as you're firing due to recoil. So it doesn't actually reduce anything. It just states that it gives you faster recovery from said things. But here's the interesting part. If you take a look at this clip and we slow it down and we go frame by frame pretty slowly, you can see that on the right side, so our pink reticle actually balloons out more than the left side, which is our default gun with nothing on it. So while you get better recovery, it actually disperses more than it would if you didn't have the stock on there. And what's interesting is we see this exact same effect if we compare it to the gun that only has the muzzle brake and the vertical grip. So on this set of videos, on the left side, the blue reticle, we have just the muzzle brake and the vertical grip. On the right side, we continue to have the full suite of mods, the muzzle brake, vertical grip, and the stock. And as you can see from the slow playback of this, the reticle balloons out more on the right side, which is the side with the stock on it. So I'm not sure why this is doing this. You would think it would be the same and just shrink back down faster, but it appears that while it does recover faster, it actually makes your shot grouping a little bit worse. And just for comparison's sake, I actually want to show you the difference between the muzzle brake and the Compensator. So Compensator is green over here on our left and the muzzle brake is on the right. And as you can see, the Compensator does a much better job at keeping those shots nice and tight as opposed to the muzzle brake, which while it definitely helps a lot with the recoil, we get a bit more dispersion. And I wanted to make sure that this wasn't just a case where it was a single gun with these mods mods made that gun so much better. So I tested it with the Stitcher with the same setup. So in this first set of clips that we're taking a look at side by side, on the left side, we have no mods. On the right side, we have the red reticle, which is the Stitcher with the muzzle brake on it. And if we take a look at what is more or less the peak of our recoil here, you can see there is an absolute massive difference in our recoil here. And this is just with the muzzle brake and nothing else. If we add the vertical grip to that, it becomes even more insane of a difference. So right side, we have the muzzle brake and the vertical grip. But if you take a look at the background here at what is more or less the peak of our recoil, this is insane. Look at the difference in these two backboards. Now, just to remind you, lower is worse. That means the camera is raising higher. That's like in-game 2 or 3 foot. I don't know actual. I'm not doing an actual pixel count measurement, but you know, that's like 3 foot. That's like a decent amount. That is insane. Now, what's interesting is if we add in the stock to this, green modded, black not modded, and we slow it down towards the end of the magazine here, you can see that we don't end up with a situation where the reticle blooms more with the inclusion of the stock on this gun, and it actually shrinks back down a little tiny bit faster at the end of shooting. Obviously, at this point, you're kind of at the end of shooting, so it doesn't really matter. And once again, because of that, even though that we don't see the reticle bloom more, I don't really think the stock is worth the little bit of resources it takes to craft it. Granted, it's not anything crazy to craft one, but it's just not worth the resources because there isn't much of a difference there. It's not like the difference we see with recoil. So in conclusion, definitely mod your guns. At least get a muzzle brake on there and a vertical grip if you can put both on there. If you can only put one, at least put one of them on there, because even though it may not seem like they do a lot with those tiny little 15 and 20% amounts, it is actually a major difference in your overall ability to control a gun. Okay, now on to how I actually set this up for those of you who want to ensure that my testing is accurate. So what I did was pretty simple. I set up where I was going to fire the gun, got my person in position. I rebound the aim and fire key off of the mouse and put them on my number pad, so aim was 2 and fire was 1. Because of this, I did not have to touch the mouse anymore once I had my aim set up. Obviously, I had to touch it when I was in the menus, but that doesn't change where my character is looking. Now, the reticle is always going to be in the center of the screen. What matters here is if everything else lines up perfectly. But if I'm not touching the mouse and the kettle and the Stitcher return back to their original position after you're done firing them, which they do, this means that once I find the right position and set it and stop touching the mouse, I can just use 1 and 2 to aim and fire, and then hit tab to change out the mods and record said shots. Then I take those shots into my editing software. I go from where the first bullet leaves the gun back up 4 frames, and then that means every clip lines up perfectly. Then I just split it down the middle of where the reticle is. This means that everything lines up exactly perfectly, allowing us to get a clear representation of what it looks like to fire each of these guns with and without some mods. Now, do note that not all guns return to their position. The shotgun is one of these, but I have a workaround for that as well. I have a program that creates a ghost image, so I get the initial aim, take a screenshot, use that as a ghost image, and then I can go back through and use the mouse to line things back up to ensure that the next shot is going to be from the exact same position. There's still the tiniest maybe pixel or 2 difference. It's really difficult to line those shots up perfectly with the mouse if it doesn't just return back to its original position, but I can get pretty dang close enough to see how much of a difference in recoil you get from modding a shotgun compared to not modding a shotgun. And as you can see from the side-by-side clips, I did a pretty good job at lining them up. So now that I have a solid setup for this and know how to do it, if you want to see me test other guns and other mod combinations, let me know down there in the comment section. We'll see about making it happen, and make sure you share the video with all your friends so it gets lots of views to incentivize me to make more videos like it. All right, that's gonna wrap it up there. Hopefully you all found this video helpful and informational. If you did, please consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified when I upload other videos. And if you're looking for some more of my content, you can find a link to another one of my videos on the screen right now. I want to give an absolute massive shout out and thank you to all of my channel supporters for helping to keep these videos sponsor free. You all are absolutely amazing people. If you would like to become an official channel supporter, check out the links in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy, you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and share your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.